Hi, friends. Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Happy Tuesday morning. Great to be with you. I just wanted to chat with you for a few minutes. We're going to have our daily Mass at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Today's the Feast of Our Lady of Sorrows here in the Catholic Church. I wanted to give you a little election reflection here this morning. Verify your vote. What do I mean by that? It's a crazy season, of course, with the pandemic, and some states are deciding just to mail out ballots to everybody on the voter file. Very, very inaccurate and dangerous thing to do because we've got, recently out of Georgia in a primary, we got reports that there were about 1,000 people that ended up voting twice, and you got ballots arriving that, first of all, a state sends out ballots, and we're talking about live ballots, not requests for ballots, but live ballots. How do we know who they're sending them to, first of all? There's got to be, and these states that are going to push ahead and do this, and it's the Democrat states that want to do this, we have to be vigilant. We have to call for transparency. Show us exactly who these are being sent to. How do we know who they're being sent to? Now, if you run an organization and you manage data, as we do here, as any organization does that has a database, you can never catch up with the address changes, deceased, and duplicates. Taking duplicates out of a database, we have people who work on that full time every day, and we still can't keep up on it, and we're a relatively small database compared to a state's entire voter file. You know what I'm saying. We are not talking about a safe system that guarantees voter integrity when you say, let's just mail out the ballots to everybody. You should get your ballot either A, when you request it, and so you're letting your state board of elections know, I'm here, I'm alive, here's where I live, and I want my ballot, and you're going to verify it with your signature. Either when you request it or when you go to the polling place, whether you're going during an early voting season or on election day itself, November 3rd, you go in person, and that's when you get your ballot. But a live ballot just sent out to an entire list ahead of time, too much room for error. Now, there are court battles going on in certain states. Others are taking other considerations as to what to do. Make your voice heard. Say, listen, we want transparency, we want integrity, we want honesty, we want fairness. Now, there's another thing you can do. First of all, vote in person, if at all possible. We understand it's not possible for everybody. But if your state has early in-person voting, so in other words, a period of days or even weeks in some states, where you can show up at the polling place early, do that. Listen, if it's safe to shop, it's safe to vote. Don't let the fears about the pandemic keep you from doing something which is actually safe to do. Follow all the guidelines, get some help if necessary, but go in person as much as that can be done. And go in person early. If you can't get out at all, request your ballot. And again, that's a much safer, perfectly legitimate way of doing it. But if you request your ballot, verify then that it got back safely and securely. And each state, again, has different rules. So you have to check with your state election board, and if you don't know where that is, look that up or go to state voting info on our website, statevotinginfo.org. You'll see the website that your state has for elections and find out what the rules are. Because what I'm saying is not only vote, but whichever method you use, verify your vote. Now, of course, if you're there in person, you're there, and there's nothing better you can do than that to verify the integrity of your vote. But verify your vote. If you send it back in the mail, check to see that it got there. I would recommend sending it in the mail only if you yourself requested it. If it comes to you unsolicited, don't use that. Say, well, thank you very much. Okay, they sent me my unsolicited ballot, but I'm going in person. Again, if you ask for a ballot, you solicit a ballot, absentee, it comes to you, you send it back, then you can check to see that they got it back. Again, we don't know, sometimes the people in the middle, political operatives, are going to try to mess with this election. They're going to try to redirect or to change or to make sure that some ballots don't get to their intended destination. We've got to be vigilant for all kinds of fraud going on. And the important thing is, and it's perfectly legitimate, to verify your vote. Now, the president's been talking about this, and some people, of course, will twist his words, twist what he said, and say, oh, well, he told people to vote twice. No, he didn't. He told people to make sure they vote once. In other words, to vote once means to actually vote. Make sure that your vote was received. Make sure that it was counted. Make sure that they got it. That's all he's saying. Make sure, verify your vote. You send it in by mail. You could check with your Board of Elections. Again, each state has its own process, and some states will allow you to go there in person, even if you've sent it in the mail. If you haven't gotten a verification that it was properly received, you can go and cast what is called a provisional ballot. You go there and you say, okay, in case you didn't get it for some reason, in case you don't have it, I'm here to verify my one vote, okay? It's dishonest and manipulative and deceptive to say that that's calling on people to vote twice. It's calling on people to vote once. Not zero, once as opposed to zero. Not twice as opposed to once. It's once as opposed to zero. Because if you sent in a ballot by mail and it didn't get to its destination and it didn't get counted, how many times did you vote? Zero. What the president is saying, what I'm saying is, verify your vote. Check with your Board of Elections, find out what your options are, and use those options to make sure that this is indeed going to be a fair and accurate election. That's my recommendation today. The communication with your Board of Elections this year is more important than in any other election year because of all the uncertainty that's going on. And because there are a lot of things still to be decided. There are court cases going on as to what a state should do or what the deadlines should be. Some states are trying to play around with this idea that, well, we don't have to count the votes until a week after Election Day. This is going to drive us into an awful lot of chaos if we can't have a date certain when this election is going to be decided. It's going to introduce an awful lot of chaos because remember, races from, city council and state legislator all the way up to the presidency could be delayed by just one single state. You remember what happened in the year 2000. It came down to the state where I am here in Florida. Ended up being a margin of 537 votes, but it took weeks before that election was decided. It was the middle of December. So we have to avoid this kind of chaos in as much as possible. Be vigilant, communicate with your Board of Elections, voice your opinion about what's going on in your state, use in-person voting as much as possible, but my best recommendation is early voting in person. And then, if you vote by mail, verify your vote. Contact your Board of Elections. Hey, what are my options to verify that you got my vote? And if you didn't, can I come in and vote in person? Not to vote twice, but to make sure I voted once. That's the point. Let's be clear about all these things. Let's talk about all these things, brothers and sisters, within our circles of influence. And let's make sure we all utilize the wonderful opportunity we have, once again, to let our voice be heard and let our vote be cast. Thank you, friends, for listening. We'll be with you several times during the course of the day, and we'll be on for Mass in just about 15 minutes. So God bless you all. Make sure you tune in to prolifevote.com for a lot of election information. prolifevote.com. You'll see a wide range of things to learn about and to do in this important election season. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. We will talk to you soon.